I'm not gonna lie to you, as pessimistic as I've been about TNA for the last couple of weeks, the night show was pretty good, pretty entertaining. I think there's a lot about this show that I really liked, so I just want to get into it instantly. The show started off with the By Elegance brand defeating Mila Grace and Harley Hudson, a pretty solid match. I want to apologize basically to everybody who told me this was gonna happen. I said at the start Mila Grace and Harley Hudson should not be a tag team. I said they should be singles competitors and we should focus on that division. But I was wrong, okay? Because the singles division is not as strong as I want it to be yet, but it's getting there. And the women's tag team division over the last couple of weeks, if not a month, has been really solid and I've really enjoyed it. Now the By Elegance brand wins by some cheating, so we're probably gonna have a rematch between these two teams soon, which I'm fine with. But yeah, I'm happy with this result. The By Elegance brand is really good. I really like Ash By Elegance. I still hope she gets to go on a singles run soon. But I think this was a solid opening match. And yeah, I'm just really glad with what's happening with the tag team division. And talking about the tag team division, let's get into what's happening with the men's division. The Arty boys and the Rascals are supposed to team up in the main event tonight, but Trey Miguel is unfortunately out with an injury. Luckily, Zachary Wentz has found himself a new partner in Myron Reed, who's going to team up with him. Now, I'll be honest, I've seen a few clips of him, I've heard his name. I haven't really gotten to have the full Myron Reed experience, but I heard he's pretty good, so I'm excited to see what he's going to do here. And you know, he kind of fits in with the whole vibe with the Rascals. So we're going to get to that in the main event where they fight First Class and the Nemeth brothers. So that's going to be, we're going to get into that there. But yeah, I think I'm excited to see what Myron Reed is all about. We have a match where Cedric Alexander teams up with the Great Hands as they go up against Mustafa Ali's Secret Service. Nobody who is given names, just a bunch of guys in suits. A pretty quick match. It's basically just Cedric Alexander just running through them, winning the match for himself and his team. And after the match, Mustafa Ali runs in and he attacks the Great Hands. He attacks Cedric Alexander, but Cedric Alexander manages to get the upper hand until Tasha Steelz turns heel. Maybe she was a heel the whole time, I don't know. She turns on Cedric Alexander, low blows him, and allows Mustafa Ali to hit him with a chair behind his back. Now later in the show we get a follow-up first with some backstage segments, but I want to get into it now. Basically, Mustafa Ali, Tasha Steelz, and the Great Hands all run into each other outside of the arena in the parking lot. They basically start arguing. Tasha Steelz goes off on them. She basically says since Mustafa Ali lost to Santana, he's not been himself at all. She says not only is she giving him a chance for vengeance, she's giving him a chance for redemption and to have a massive pay-per-view match. And she also goes off on the Great Hands saying they're not so great and they keep trying to do this whole thing with Mustafa Ali. They should just go after the tag team championships and prove themselves some success. Now I actually really like this. I think this is... At first I was like, okay, we should have the Great Hands go on their own, Tasha Steelz go on their own. But honestly, this story that they're telling right now, it's actually really intriguing. And I hope the Great Hands stay together. Now, it looks like they're going to stay together because afterwards the system approaches them and says, you guys aren't the top faction here in TNA, we are, so let's have a match next week. So next week it's going to be the system versus the Order 4. I don't know if it's going to be all members of the Order 4, but probably. And I'm assuming the Order 4 are going to win because Matt Cardona is probably going to get involved somehow, cause the system to lose and builds that friction, while the Order 4 winning would solidify the reunion they're having. So that's my prediction for next week, which I think is going to be a pretty fun match. I think there's a lot that's going to happen here. And since we're talking about this segment, let's also just get this thing out of the way. They ran a whole package for the X Division Championship and its history, and because at this pay-per-view it's going to be Moose versus Leon Slater, they have a tiny confrontation backstage. Moose is, if he wins, he's going to become the longest reigning X Division champion, surpassing Austin Aries, while Leon Slater is going to become the youngest ever X Division champion. And I kind of want both things to happen. I think we could make history with both things. So I kind of want Moose to retain the X Division Championship, then you run it back a few weeks later and have Leon Slater win it from him then. I know I usually talk about I don't want to see rematches. I just think the cool novelty of breaking 2 records would be fine. I think everybody would be okay with that. I don't think there's going to be a big issue. Plus, both men are great, so I think both matches are going to be good. I feel like we can all look past it this one time, no? But besides that, the next match on the card, we're going to have gone for a few matches now because we basically talked about all the segments, is Masha Slamovich and Leingly defeating Fatal Influence. Xia Brookside is on Masha Slamovich and Leingly's side, just to even things out with Jasmine Inks on Fatal Influence's side. Now, Masha Slamovich and Leingly win the match, like I said, and I think it's a pretty good result. Now, Masha Slamovich is the one who pins Fallon Henley, so no champions getting pinned here, which, you know, it's pretty fair because Jacy Jayne has a match coming up. I still think Jacy Jayne's gonna lose and Masha Slamovich is then gonna lose to Jordynne Grace, because Masha Slamovich's reign has been pretty terrible, and this was a fine match. I just don't feel like there is much there, because I don't think I don't think there's any chance that Jacy Jayne versus Masha Slamovich is going to happen. It just makes too much sense for Jordynne Grace to win that championship because she's already having a story with Blake Monroe. That's probably the next feud for that women's championship, the NXT women's championship. And then obviously her coming to TNA, she's probably the biggest knockout star they've had in the past 10 years. So her coming back and winning that Knockouts Championship, the perfect story is there. And she already has that relationship with Masha Slamovich. It just feels like there's a lot more money in that than making it Masha Slamovich versus Jacy Jayne. No offense to either woman, but I'm not sure how much I really want to see that. So yeah, this match was cool. I'm not invested in a Fatal Influence Masha Slamovich thing. I would much prefer a Jordynne Grace thing. We have another match for the International Championship. Steve Maclin retains against Jake Something and Mance Warner. A pretty solid match, just something I also didn't really care much about. I'm really not invested in Jake Something, and this match didn't really appeal to me at all that much. I don't know what it was because I really like Steve Maclin and I really like Mance Warner and I've loved everything they did with the International Championship. This match just didn't feel all that important, especially for the fact that we had just had a simple match between Indi Hartwell and Victoria Crawford after this. Maybe if this match was in the main event it would have meant a lot more, but I just feel like it was plopped in the middle of the show and it just meant nothing really. Steve Maclin retained and I don't feel like we're getting any major storylines out of this. So good match, just I don't know what it was for there. We also then have a very weird segment with Enzo Amore, which I think he's going to be at Slammiversary. He talked about being in New York and all that stuff. I don't know what this is all about, but I'm just going to say I'm intrigued and I want to see where this is going, but I don't really know what's happening here, but it's definitely very intriguing. And then we had that Indi Hartwell versus Victoria Crawford match I mentioned. Indi Hartwell defeats Victoria Crawford. And Tessa Blanchard is on commentary because it's a build-up to their upcoming match. It's a good victory for Indi Hartwell going into that match, build her up some momentum, and it makes sense that she defeats Tessa's close friend. After the match, Tessa Blanchard gets into the ring and calls out Indi Hartwell. She says how she's the reason Indi Hartwell is even here in TNA, and she's trying to take her attention, she's trying to take the spotlight away from Tessa, so now she's gonna make Indi pay on one of the biggest TNA stages there is. Yeah, it's another feud I'm really excited for, really excited to see. I think it's been very well done, very low-key, but a good knockouts mid-card feud, something we haven't had much of, if at all, really. It's only been for the most part, it's only ever revolved around the Knockout Championship. We really haven't had a solid mid-card feud, and I'm glad we're having one. Then we have a segment backstage where Eric Young wants, well, Cody Deaner to be fired, and Santino says that Cody Deaner isn't even here, and Eric Young says that no, Cody Deaner is the hometown man and that he was once Super Eric, and Santino can't believe that Eric Young was Super Eric, and I found that pretty funny. So Santino basically says if Eric Young can have undeniable proof that Cody Deaner is the hometown man, Cody Deaner will be fired. I'm going to be completely honest with you, I love everything that's happening with the hometown man. I was suspicious of it at first, but I'm bought into Cody Deaner as the hometown man. It's probably the best thing that's happened to his TNA run so far because it's the most invested. I think everybody's been in him. He's actually funny. He's actually entertaining. And credit to Cody Deaner because even when they put him in that position and I questioned him, he took the ball, he ran with it. And I'm not going to say he's a star, but he's at least very entertaining and he's earned his spot on the roster. And then it's the main event, First Class and the Nemeth brothers teaming up against this new look Rascals and the Hardy Boys. A really great match to end the show off. Trick Williams was also on commentary and he eventually interfered during the match and helping First Class pick up the victory over the Hardy Boys, well, and the Rascals. You get where I'm going with this. Now Trick Williams jumps into the ring and he starts attacking the Hardy Boys after the match, but that's when both Santana and Joe Hendry come into the ring to clear it out, but Joe Hendry accidentally hit Santana, or was it Santana that hit Joe Hendry? One of them hit the other. I believe it's Joe Hendry who hit Santana, and they just start going after each other. The other baby faces have to pull them away from each other, and that's how we end the show. A really solid match, and I'm liking how over the past few weeks Santana and Joe Hendry haven't been friends at all, and I think that's something that they've done really well because they pretty easily could have just said, hey, we're both from TNA, we're both over baby faces, let's just like each other and try and take that championship away. But no, they're actually building animosity, and I feel like there's more animosity between Joe Hendry and Santana than there is towards them for Trick Williams, and that brings in a really interesting dynamic because they're both supposed to be TNA guys. So I'm genuinely really curious to see how that plays out on the road or just even at Slammiversary. If I had to give tonight's show a rating, I would say it's overall a solid 8 out of 10. I can't complain about stuff like the Steve Maclin match and how I'm not really feeling Masha Slamovich versus Jacy Jayne. That's really minor complaints and they don't bring the show down in any way for me. It's just there. So I'd say 8 out of 10 is a really solid rating for tonight's show. So if you like what I do on this channel, it's just me talking about TNA and NXT, then leave a like and subscribe. I think you might enjoy my content. So I hope to see you again soon, and goodbye everyone.